What's up? It's Jose Shorty Torres, and are you guys looking for love advice, or even want to hear some really, really bad stories of what happened trying to get love? Guys, check out my guy Blake's podcast, the Unfiltered Bachelor Podcast. I think it's hilarious because you hear funny stories, bad stories, things working out well, things just going and all that stuff. Guys, check it out, and maybe you'll find some love in the process. Thank you so much, guys.
I've been searching for you here for so long. I've been searching for you here for so long.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Blake Money, Blake Weather. Welcome to another episode, Unfiltered Bachelor. I'm your Unfiltered Bachelor, Blake Money, Blake Weather. Often I say my name twice in 10 seconds, and I'm A-okay with that. How is everybody else there doing out in podcast land? I hope you're staying safe from the Rona. I hope you are social distancing. I hope you're doing all the things you want to do during the Corona to stay positive. On that note, you know me. I'm all about connecting with new people. I'm all about hearing fresh stories. Met this guy on Facebook. We meet through podcast group, and it's always cool. It's always interesting to hear other people's perspectives on dating, relationship, what the hell they've been through. You know me. I'm all about meeting new people. Everybody, welcome Sean Dustin from Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean, what's up, my man? How you doing?
What's happening, brother? Good to be here. Glad we can take some time to chat tonight.
Yeah, man. So you've got such a fucking interesting story, because literally the theme of it is you had nowhere to go but up, and it seems like the point of the podcast is really like at this point, like talking with other people and trying to find out where they're nowhere to go but up theme of their life was, and how the hell they got to where they're doing now. Is that kind of like the concept of like what it is?
It started out that way. That was the premise, bottoms, life struggles, and how every average day people get through them. What it took to get from one side of it to the other, right?
Yeah.
And then as I started doing them, I'm like, God, there's a lot of trauma per episode, you know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I need to split this up a little bit. And so I decided to add a variety portion, which is like, kind of my interest, dating, things that I'm doing in my life, things that interest me. Like I live in an area where kiteboarding and like, is it going on just right there, and windsurfing. And so I want to, stuff like that would be interesting to me is taking kiteboarding lessons and turning that whole thing into a podcast. You know what I mean?
Right.
The whole process of it.
It's a thing.
So, so it's been going good. I've been enjoying it. I get to talk to a lot of different people, and especially now during social distancing, dude, it's been amazing being able to connect with so many different people.
Yeah, man. And I heard again the recent episode with Lori Rising. It was fucking amazing. If you guys haven't heard of Sean's podcast, that's a great starter episode to tune into to kind of get a feel for kind of the show and what it is. I happened to reach out. I wanted to get some guests for dating and relationship talk, and you had a specific episode. Everybody go to episode 3, right? That's the one where you talk about, it's like all, I don't know. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like this was, because it really seemed like, okay, everybody, if you guys don't know about like dating fresh out of a relationship, and if you guys don't know about online dating and you're in your 40s, you're in for a treat, because I'm about to tell you what the hell is on my mind and all of like the little things and nuances that come along with it. Because as a matter of fact, even at my age, I'm 31, man, it ain't no fucking easier. And it is, online dating is full of all the same nuances you're talking about. Like, you got to have these kind of photos, and people try to pretend this kind of life. And, is somebody trying to catfish somebody? And what are some ways, your ways that you tell, like if somebody trying to catfish somebody, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it was. That I made that episode after I was fed up with women putting their best picture from 10 years ago, and you go to meet them and it's like, not this, it ain't the same. It's like you 20 pounds later, you know what I mean? And I got nothing against big girls, but I want to be able to know that going in, not find out once I get there.
Right. Totally understand.
And I feel like, that they do that because, maybe they got a great personality, and that, I'm going to see right through all that to your winning personality. And it's just going to overshadow the fact that you're 30 or 40 pounds overweight and not really my body type,
Yeah, or like that's not what you're into, or like this obviously isn't an accurate portrayal of who you are now, and I think it is very much that that's, I guess I'll just hop right in it, man. I think it is a lot of people in insecurities, right? This is who they see themselves as, and this is who they want to see themselves as, and this is how they want people to see them, especially on a dating app, bro. Like, you of all people know, I know, it's every the first picture is everything. Like, you're either into it or you're not. Like, you've already and then when you match with somebody, you've already played the game of, I like you, or I at least think you're attractive enough to be like, can we have a conversation that leads to a date? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, I mean, that's kind of my takeaway with that. But you have it's really unique, man, because you're dating, I think, in relationship life and story, at least right now, is a little bit different. You have an infant, right? You have a small child. You're I don't know how recent it is, or how long ago the episode would kind of recently split up, with your ex. So now you're kind of fresh on the scene, and it is a whole different, like, managing situation to try and manage dating. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time, and if you don't have the time to invest in it, it really is one of those things where it's like, I ghost people all the time, because it's like, I'll get into a conversation and I'll match with somebody, and it's like, my life is pretty busy. My kid comes first, and so a lot of times I'll just like, all right, well, fuck. You know what I mean? I just lose interest. There's not enough there to keep me, engaged in it. And, honestly, I'm not available anyways emotionally. I'm available to fuck, and that's about it.
Yeah. I talked about this a few episodes ago, man, with my buddy Tyler, and we talked about the concept of, like, when you get out of a relationship, or when you get out of something, when you go back out looking for something else, when you put yourself out there to date, it's almost like everybody has this, like, for numbers' sake, we'll just call it a 10-item checklist, right? And sometimes you don't need all 10 items that the other person, like the last person, gave you. Sometimes you need like one or two things checked off, and that's it for you. You know what I mean? While the other person you're meeting right now, they need like maybe 4 or 5 things. And whether or not you can provide those 4 or 5 things, it's like, I got my one thing, I'm good. And they're like, but also, what are we? And you're like, see, what had happened was,
I had got in the car with Greg and them, and we ended up over there,
right?
And
right? Yeah, it's one of those type of situations, right? That, like, it's like, for you only need the one thing, and you're like, I'm good. Like, physically, if I find you attractive, great. Can we have some drinks? Maybe a little bit of combo, cool. Let's have sex.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds good,
Yeah, I mean, it's so, like, for myself, it was more along the lines of, I had been in 5 failed relationships, a lot of them, and I talk pretty openly about my situation and how fucked up I am, and so I'd had 5 failed relationships. A lot of it had to do with me and my not having very good examples of what a healthy relationship looks like. So I've spent the last year and a half, because that's about as long as we've been split up, just kind of working on myself, and working on my podcast, working on my life, working, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm so absorbed with myself right now and trying to become a better person for, you know, me, my daughter, and then, you know, whoever happens to come into the picture, because now I'm not just looking for me. I'm looking for my kid too, because whoever's involved with me is going to be a role model for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I was dating somebody at one point, and I had to let her go because, I mean, she had all, you know what I mean? Like 4 of the things that I was looking for. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? The sex was good. You know, we got along, we communicated. And, you know, there was a couple of other things that were on the thumbs up list. And, but there was just this one thing, man. She liked to drink a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was finding myself drinking quite a bit while I was hanging out with her because that's what she was doing.
Right.
And, you know, and I saw that it was a little bit more than I would like to have seen in somebody. And to the point where, like, we went to some place, where was it that we went? Went to a weekend or a day trip up to some place, and we both got pretty hammered. And then the next day I had to drive back hungover, and she like continued drinking and passed out and like the whole way home. And it's like, dude, I could barely stay awake, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, well, is this really something that I want to bring around my kid?
Yeah. Is it conducive for the lifestyle that you have for the person that relies on you, like for responsibility? Like you have a you know, kid, and it's just like, I don't know, like you wake up and realize that one day, right? Like, I'm trying to make this work. That's what it is. And then like, you're like, whew, like sometimes it is just, there's one moment that hits you in the face and you're just like, yeah, this isn't for me, huh?
Yep. And so, you know, I don't know if that answered your question, but it, you know, I just don't have and I'm trying, you know what I mean? I think that if the right person came along, we all have that in us, you know, where we can just say, you know, we're pretty fluid that way as people, how it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I could do this, you know, but it's not something that you can just plan. Like, you know, you don't just plan like I want to find a relationship like women do. You know what I mean? It's like they talk with their girlfriends about how, I need to find a boyfriend, or, you know, whatever the situation is. And maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe that's just in my head. But I just don't look at it that way. It's like, you know, I've got the one need that I know that I need, which is to have sex every once in a while, at least have some sort of human connection, you know, do the things that I enjoy doing. And we talk, you've heard me talk about this with Lori, and she's like, are you being, you know, transparent with people? And I'm like, yeah, I thought I was, but you know, women sometimes think that they can, you know, even when you say it plain as day to them, they think that they can change you, or that they'll be the one that will be the I don't know, the magic, you know, whatever word it is that I'm looking for.
Like saving grace. Like they're like, actually, okay, yeah, this is cool, but also I'm gonna, you know, I can fix this bird box. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, like I think some people are like that, right? They have that. You're our project, and I'm going to take you under my wing, and I can repair you. When it's also like, but I'm not a project. Like I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good right now. You know what I mean? And that actually brought up like I don't think I'd heard the story where you were like, oh, it's with somebody, and they kind of checked off a few things, because it does go to show, like even already this early on as we're talking, man, like you have the capacity to have the depth of like, no, if somebody comes along and checks off a few more of those check boxes and it's unintentional, I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
Is that right? And
I'd much rather it be that way, because it's like, then it's organic, you know. It's like, you know, obviously you fit my body type, you fit my, you know, personality type, you fit my you know, looks type, and, you know, because we all have a type, we all have something that we, you know, I mean, I date a lot of different women, but I usually don't, I don't think I've ever had a long term that was a blonde. They've all been brunettes and dark hair. So
you have a type, my friend. You have a type.
Yeah. And it's funny that women have that same thing. It's like they're attracted to what their father looks like, and you're attracted to what your mother. You know what I mean? And it sounds kind of weird, but I mean it. If you think about it, because my mom's a brunette.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, man.
You know?
I'll let you finish.
Oh, nothing. That was it. I mean, there's any more elaboration on that might be creepy.
No, yeah, no, it's not. It is that it's that Freudian Oedipus complex, right? Like that's what it is, where like you're some part of you is kind of weirdly attracted to your parent, right? Because like you know it all goes back to like there's that Freudian theory. Everybody go check it out, Oedipus complex and stuff like that. But that's how you fall, you know, a boy falls in love with his mom, and like not like in a like I love you type of way, I want to marry you, but like in that type of way of like that's the first person that they latch onto, you know, from birth, you know what I mean? That is the opposite sex. Same with a girl, like a woman, like that the first male that she figured that she loved in her head is, you know, was her father. And so that, I mean, it absolutely makes sense. It all ties into that. I'm not a you know, Scientologist, psychiatrist, or any shit like that, but like, I know enough to get me in trouble, you know, in the conversation. But, there is a lot of things that have to do with that, man. Like, it's funny you say that because there's a lot of shit that has to deal with like childhood, right? Like, have you heard of like a attachment theory? Are you familiar with this at all?
I'm not familiar with it, but I've heard of it.
So in attachment theory, you have these attachment styles that are developed when you're a child. And there's 3 different ones. You have a secure attachment style, which is these are just secure people, like they're secure in themselves, like they don't always have to like constantly text you, you don't always kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like it's you're like I'm okay, like I'm doing my own thing. If this other person's doing their thing, I don't need to text them 20 times a day. You have an avoidance style, which really displays itself like they're more of like the hard to get kind of people. They're more of the people that are a little bit like tentative to even like get into something. And then they're the people that also when like something breaks off and dissolves off, they more or less are easier. The person to be like, all right, peace. Anyways, I'm moving along with my life. You know what I mean? Like it is quick. It's quick.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks for the dick. Bye. But then you have the third style is anxious style. And these are the type of people you can already tell them pretty very early on most of the time. Constantly like the texting, and it's a little bit less cushion between each text, if that makes any sense. And they're the ones that text first, and they're the ones that constantly let what's going on in your head out first. And it all comes down to actually how you were raised as a child. Like if you had enough love, if you got enough hugs, if you were left alone too long, like all these things, they develop your attachment style by like the time you're like 5, 7-ish. So it comes out when you have friends. It displays itself highly when you begin to have interpersonal relationships with the opposite sex or whatever you're into, right? If you're gay or whatever, like it develops when you have a partner or a significant other. That's when it starts to come out. And it's crazy how it all goes back to like childhood. Everything
does, man. And everything that you do goes back between the first 5 years of your life or to 7, where that's when you're figuring out how to interact with the world, how the world interacts with you, how your parents interact with you, whether or not you grew up in an abusive household, whether you grew up with, you know, a poor example of what a healthy relationship is. You know, one of the reasons why I left my ex was we fought too much, and my daughter was starting to get old enough to realize what was going on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and she was like barely 2 years old, and we were arguing in the car, and she was in the car seat, and she's like, stop. And so, I mean, that was like, what the fuck was, and it was like, all right, well, she knows what's going on. If she's telling us to stop, and I mean, she could barely even speak. Right. I mean, that's gotta say something, you know? And so I was like, that's it, man. I gotta kill this right now, because this is just going to show her that, you know, this is okay. And when she gets into that situation, when she's an adult, then she's going to stay when she should go.
Stay when you should go. How often does that happen with I think all of us, Jesus Christ, I think in our head right now, we're both like thinking about like, God damn, I was with XYZ just way too long, or XYZ with me, XYZ was with me way too long. Like, why do you, that again, you think it comes down to childhood in that aspect. I don't know if I've ever thought about that like that.
Well, I mean, some of them, for me, it just came down to, it was just inconvenient for me to like, just financially, whatever it is, it's just inconvenient to go. It's like, God, all right, well, I'm going to have to go and do all of these steps. So I'll just put up with it for a little while longer until you can't put up with it anymore. And you're forced to, if the shit ain't going to work, it's not going to work, And then, I mean, sometimes it can.
Yeah, sometimes it can. But then I think the fucked up thing is when you put yourself in those type of situations too, like the next time you get into something, it creates like then you start to analyze it in that way. Like if like the first sign of trouble, or like you're like, oh God, this is going to be like this, and it might not. It might could, but then it might not. So the biases that I think we carry with us when it comes to dating or being in a relationship is like, I don't even know if I have the words for it. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, it's well, I don't know if I can describe it.
Well, it's kind of like this, man. It's like you always bring some of your fucked up from the last relationship into your next relationship. And so the trick is being able to leave the bad habits, the things that happened in your last one and start over fresh. That's hard to do though, because you've got learned behavior. Here's a perfect example. So if you have somebody who, like, you could not even be doing anything wrong, but just the dude that you're hanging out with, let's just say your chick knows that he's like kind of shady, would cheat on his chick if he had the opportunity, and like you're hanging out with them, and like you're not doing nothing wrong. Yeah, he's probably trying to nail the broad that's over here. You guys are hanging out at a bar doing something, like you should be able to do. Go hang out with your homeboy, catch up at the bar, have a couple of beers. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Well, when you're with somebody who's not secure with the relationship, you automatically, as soon as she texts, you get that anxiety. You ever have that? And it's like, oh, you get activated, and it's like you're trying to talk to him, but you can't, because you've got that anxiety going in you, and it sounds like you're stuttering and you're lying, but you're not. You're just like, fuck, man, I know I'm in this situation, and it probably looks bad, but even though I'm not doing shit wrong, you just get that anxiety, man. And that's like, the kind of, that's
your all of your body sinks to the bottom pit of your stomach, and you freeze, and you're like, oh, I can't be here. I need to. How do I get out of here? It's like you can't even enjoy yourself. You're taken out of the moment.
Lie. And you don't need to lie, but you've just been placed into that anxiety mode, and it's like no matter what you're gonna say, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even if I tell you the truth, you're gonna have a problem with it. If I lie to you, I might get away with it. But you know what I mean? It's like I need to find people to be with that don't do that for me. You know what I mean? That are really cool with, like, don't text me a million times, man. Don't, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm coming home to you. It's trying to find people that have that confidence and are confident in themselves and are secure in their own self, where they don't need you to feel complete.
It's that's the journey that we're all here for, Sean. It's finding somebody, I think, that complements your attachment style. I think is a different way of saying that, right? Like if you're secure and somebody is more avoidant or more like anxious, it's going to be a little bit more harder to vibe with and work with, right? And yeah, man, I think we're all out here looking for that, and it gets me to my next point. It makes doing online dating when you're aware of all these things that much more trickier because you can't always tell, like, you know what people put in the 300 character bio, you know what I mean? But you don't know much else. If they even use 300 characters, some of them just use a goddamn emoji and you're like, the fuck does the sun mean? I don't understand. Do you like puppies? Like, or do you like beer? Like, I don't, what the fuck?
We all like tacos.
I guess, yeah, we all like yoga. I don't know if I like to hike all the time. I mean, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing on this hike? You get naked at some point? I mean, you gonna entice me somehow? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm lazy when it comes to a bio. I do one, and then I copy and paste it to all the other fucking apps.
Facts. I was like, facts. I've thought about it. Facts. I think the one time I like went through like minor changes, like it wasn't, but like I took out like a line or two. The fucked up thing is you can't do that with Hinge. Hinge was my least favorite of setting up, right? Because it's your 6 pictures and you have to put your personality out through 3 questions. You know what I mean? You don't get a chance to put a bio.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, it's my least favorite to set up, and it's still like I don't know how I feel about it.
I never got any play on Hinge. You know, the best one that I've got the most ass off of was that's my that's how I judge them. It's probably Plenty of Fish.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. In my area, for whatever reason, they just seem to. I've had good luck on there.
You reel them in, huh? All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we got a tough one today. All right.
It's a fighter. Somebody lied about their weight.
Oh my god. Yeah, man. I've never been on. I don't think I've ever used that one or downloaded that one. I've been on the 4 that I had downloaded at once upon a time: Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and OkCupid. OkCupid I thought would be the best at one point because they're using mathematics to match you right with somebody that on questions and on paper would be compatible. Yeah, you're laughing because you know. But on on paper and shit, like oh, these 2 people should match. So it gives you, for those that don't know, it gives you a percentile of like, there's an 89% chance we think you 2 would match or be compatible, I think is the word they use. And it's just like, oh yeah, all right. Kind of gives you this little bit of hope, right? But again, it all goes to like, do they even have a bio picked out? Like, what else do they have filled out? They just answer these questions that I don't even know. Like, all of them have their own faults. I'll say that much for sure.
Well, here's what I think about the whole thing. I think that everybody should be doing. This is real simple, man. Everybody do a 15-minute Zoom date when you like match up with somebody. Mm-hmm. That way I get a chance to see you get a chance to see me, you get a chance to interact with my personality. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so there's no wasting time. There's no spending money on a useless date that's not going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Why should I, and that's another thing, man, finances. Why should, I think the first meetup should be Dutch. You know what I mean? Like, no, there's no, I don't need to pay for you. You don't need to pay for me. If we choose to continue the date on, maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up after that. But I think the initial should always be, you pay yours, I'll pay mine.
I've heard that.
I don't want to feel.
Yeah, and I heard you actually on this was coming back to the 3rd episode. Everybody go check that one out. It's very, I enjoyed it. If you like Unfiltered Bachelor, it's like the long lost cousin episode of like Unfiltered Bachelor. Like he covers, like Sean covers a lot of the same things that I bring up on the podcast. I have a lot of friends. I have a couple friends actually that take that, even my age, that take that approach of like, hey man, we just, we go splitsies, you know what I mean, on the first date. I very much have a different mindset. I'll tell you what I agree with you on. I do think the first date should be as close to a non-committal thing as possible, a very light thing. I think I've done coffee once. All the rest of my first dates, except for another one, which was in fact dinner. But for the most part, the first time you meet somebody, I always love to do drinks. I enjoy a nice old fashioned. I enjoy a nice maybe margarita or something. You know what I mean? And I mean alcohol, like it tends to loosen people up. And if somebody in their loosened up, quote unquote loosened up state, if you can't even agree with them or you can't get down with them, you'll figure it out by the first drink. And then it's like, okay, we need to part ways. And what did a drink cost you? Maybe like, depending on where you're at, I suppose, like if it's happy hour or not, anywhere from $5 to $12, for fucking, whatever beer to get yourself an old fashioned, I suppose. But I agree with you, right? Like as far as very non-committal up front, I don't like to do dinner because of the whole concept of like you mentioned. It's like, if you do dinner, what if by the time fucking appetizers come out, like you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? Shit, I just ordered dinner. Fuck, I'm here for another hour. Oh no.
I'll be like, oh.
Check, please.
Hey, to go? Mine to go.
No, she can stay here. I don't care what she does. I've got split, please. Thank you.
You want to hear a funny story?
Tell me. Let's go.
All right, so I was in Vegas, right? And this was back, I wasn't doing drugs hardly or doing anything like that. I met this one chick. She was pretty hot. It was New Year's Eve. And she was like, all right, well, let's go down to the Fremont Experience. Have you ever been there into Vegas in New Year's?
I've been to Vegas, but I've never been there. No.
Okay, so the Fremont Street Experience, they actually just closed the whole thing off, and so you're able to purchase, I think it's like $60 or $70 per ticket to get in. And I think I paid for mine, she paid for hers, and like the whole time, like she was supposed to be kicking it like with me, and I was like, she was gone the whole time. And like even like when you're supposed to like the whole purpose to take somebody to go somewhere is like when the ball drops and everybody, Happy New Year, you got somebody to kiss, right?
Right.
And so I was kind of butthurt because the broad didn't, she was gone, and I was like standing there by myself, and I'm like, fuck, all right, well I guess I'm fucking gonna kiss myself. And so anyways, she made her way back around, right? And so we ended up going out to eat afterwards, and I was just like, I don't know, man. She was just like one of those chicks that was super hot, but you're a 10, but your attitude it makes you a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd ordered like a bunch of shit, right? And I'm the one that drove, and I'm like, all right, well, you know what? The food got there, and I'm like, I gotta go, man. Peace out, later. And I just bolted on her.
Holy fuck! That is savage as fuck, my friend. Jesus. Tom Petty over here.
Yeah, Tom Petty. Fucking. I got the last laugh on that one.
The petty level is on 100,000, man. It's funny though. That's funny though, because like it does show, I think it does show like, hey man, like if you're on a date, be on a date. Like pay attention to me. Like everybody thinks these things. It's not just girls, right? Like it's not just girls if they're and guys it's like doing the same thing, right? Like it happens to all of us, and we all kind of go through that. Well, fuck you. You know what I mean? Well, fuck you very much. Like we trying to have a thing, and you over there, and I'm like, and it's just like, and you very much come across as like a guy that's like, you don't fuck around, man. Like I'll just be up front. Like I listened to the 3rd episode and listened to the last one. It's just like, you don't fuck around, and you have your reasons. It's like, listen, I don't have time to fuck around. I'm not trying to do all that. Like I know like what I'm into, what I'm not, my value, like this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not going to struggle in deciding like what's important at the end of the day. It's me, you know what I mean? It's what's going on for me. But yeah, so to come back though on the other note, I pay for first dates. I think I've gone Dutch, like when a girl brings it up like twice. Like I have a rule in my head. Like they say it and I'm like, no, you're good. But if they're like, they say it again, if they're like, no, I could, and I'm like, okay. But I have progressively been open to that the longer that I've dated. You know what I mean? I started going on my first, like I got out of 5.5 year relationship. Everybody knows the story. February 2018. Started dating like end of October, early November of 2018. Took some time away from myself, as we all do, man. We're all on that journey of like, what? You know, you all go through the mindset of like, what happened last time? I don't want to do that shit. Like, let me just figure out the fuck I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think very early on, I was just like, I'm a goddamn gentleman, goddamn it, and I'm gonna pay for fucking, you know, that's the way I was fucking raised. I guess it's the Southern in me. Like I got to do the most on the first date. You know what I mean? But that doesn't include dinner. We do the most for drinks. Like fuck it, I'll do it. But you brought up a great point too, and I didn't realize this until I talk about it. Hey, bro, it can get expensive. Especially when you're dating more than one person in a week, or you're going on more than one date a week. It's like, yeah, it starts to.
It's a hobby. It turns into that hobby, man. Like, you know what I mean? That's like sucking all your money, and then you start looking at the return. You know, the ROI. Yeah. And you're like, dude, this is I'm upside down in this shit. You know, I'm going to have to, you know, that's really what kind of caused me to do that. I mean, I will pay for a first date but it just depends on the person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have to, like, if you're engaging with me and, you know, I'm not, you know what I mean? I feel like it's reciprocal. Yeah, fuck it. I'll throw down for it, you know, but if I know that it's really not going to go anywhere, and I'm in that situation where it's like, dude, there's no nakedness that's going to happen after this or at any point. So it's like, I gotta go. I'm good. Yeah. Thank you. You're sweet. You're a lovely person, but you know, I'll usually just lean in for a nice hug and the old pat on the back and send them on. Did you
talk about the church hug? The old extended church hug where you grab, okay, there you go. You keep being you. But it does remind me of a story of that I know, but buddy of one of my former co-hosts. He talked about the story. He matched with this girl on Tinder, and he suggested doing drinks, and she was like, "How about we do dinner?" And he was just like, "Yeah, okay, we could do dinner. Okay, cool." And then she's like, "Hey, how about we do dinner at this semi fancy place? Like it's definitely not like your fucking like Chili's or anything like that. It's like it's not upscale. That's not a fucking steakhouse, but like it's pretty okay." What's that?
$4 sign, $3 or $4 sign on the Yelp.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's up there. It ain't no $1 or $2 sign. I'll tell you that much. And so he gets there, and the type of place it's set up to where you don't like sit down and like there's a menu and like whatever, like, and you have a waitress or whatever. You actually have to go to the counter and buy your stuff in advance, and then they bring it out to you. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's places like that, all over. And so he gets there, and he wasn't familiar with, you know, the pay process and how it's structured and shit like that. And he gets there, and he's getting ready to get he ordered his food, and she's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I don't have any cash on me, and I think I left my debit card at home." And he was like, "Oh." Okay, and so I was like, "What'd you do, man?" And he's like, "Well, I did what any high value guy should do. And I don't even think he used the word high value, but he goes, I think I did what any guy should do in that point. I turned to the cash register. I said, 'Can you please cancel my order?' And they gave me a refund, and I politely exited. And he's like, when I did that, the girl was like, oh, it's okay. Like if you didn't have money to buy me any, whatever, like you probably broke. Yeah. She pulled out that card. You probably couldn't afford it and yada, yada. She's telling him all this as they're walking out. And he's like, okay, well, you have a good rest of the night. As he walks into, get this, his Lotus, which is like one of 16 here in Austin. And he's just like, I drove right next to her and right past her as she saw me get in my fucking fancy ass car. And he's just like, bro, like, that is the most pettiest. He's like, he came over here right after like the quote unquote date and came over here and he was just like, that's the most stupidest shit ever. He's like, also like, who the fuck forgets their debit card on a fucking date, dude? Like, that's, if there's ever a red flag, there's one right there, Sean.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely don't, if you come into something expecting me to pay, then fuck you. You know what I mean? You got to earn that shit. There ain't no free rides anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You gotta earn. I mean, respect isn't given; it's earned. Mm-hmm. And how it's just not a given that you have the basic amount of respect for the next person. But I mean, anything more than that, in my book, you got to earn that. You got to earn respect.
That's facts on facts, right? Everybody take notes. That's facts on facts from Big Sean over here, man. He's laying down some game for y'all. I'm gonna kind of add like a little caveat to what you were saying earlier, because you were like, listen, if I'm feeling it, I'll pay for fucking drinks. It's not a problem. Like if we're into the conversation, whatever. And at that point, what I've done on first dates is like if the vibe is chilling and we're moving, I like to do a little reconnaissance about where I like to go on dates and stuff and have everything played out. I always like to go to a place that either has the option for food, but we don't give food, or a place that's close to it, like a bar that's close to a place that has food, just in case. Hey, Sean, if things are going great, let's go get some food because your boy ain't eating yet. You know what I mean? Like maybe, yeah. But that's only if you're vibing with them, bro. Like if you're feeling that energy, if they're giving the conversation, they're meeting you, like your back's not hurt from carrying the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the worst, man, when you're trying to like get to know somebody and it's like, dude, they're just not, it's almost like a bad podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's exactly like a bad podcast where you're just like basically carrying the conversation. It's like you're digging for shit. You're like, all right, well, fuck, what else can we talk about? We're only in 15 minutes. I need at least 15 more. I'm not wasting that 15 minutes. Give me 15 more, damn it, and I can publish it.
Hey, give me some more. Come on, let's go. Something. Tell me the ABCs. Tell me your fucking favorite childhood story. Give me some shit. Give me something.
Yeah.
I've had that. I've had that happen once on a first date where it was very like that. The conversation was very. It's a beautiful dog right there, man. Beautiful dog.
Thank you.
What's your dog's name?
Riley Joe.
Riley Joe.
Riley. Yep.
Love it. But yeah, I've been in that situation before, man, where it's you're talking, but like the conversations don't thread. They just end. And then you're stuck there for like a good like 15, 30 seconds and you're like, So yeah. This chips and salsa, huh? Here, am I right?
Don't they have the best chips? Look at the texture on those chips, the crunch, the salt. I mean, God, I haven't had a chip this good in I don't know how long.
Fork night, yes. Like, I don't even talk like that. I don't even say that shit. Who says that?
I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons.
How dare this thou? And you're like, wait, fuck, it's coming out. But yeah, I've definitely been caught in that kind of weird, awkward conversation. Luckily, and I don't know if you can relate to me on this, but as a podcast host, I almost feel like doing this has added to like being able to like it's enhanced my conversation skills when you go on dates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
the first date.
It's definitely given me confidence to be able to approach anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I haven't, and sometimes, you know, it's really, it's hard to approach people these days, not because it's like everybody's on that mindset of online dating, right?
Yes.
And so when you try to approach somebody or you see somebody hot, like in a grocery store, or someone's like, oh God, you know, she got a ring? No ring. No. You know what I mean? And
you
you're
do?
like thinking,
I like it. You start doing that investigation. You're like, oh, let me just kind of look over here. Oh, you ain't got nothing on. Okay. She's single. Okay.
or could be. I mean, at least she's not committed. There's a chance I could talk you out of your underwear.
Jesus Christ, that's always a possibility, huh? But do you do a lot of that?
Yeah.
Like a lot of IRL? The kids call it IRL in real life. Like, are you able to? I mean, you seem like a very confident person. Are you? Is that more your bag of tea, or are you more dating app guy?
No, dating app, dude. I'm amazing in this setting because this is my setting. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
This is my jam, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I do this. I could do this shit in here. You know, well, as soon as I get outside that door, boy, it's crickets.
Isn't it crazy? I always tell people that, man, that know me or that come on the podcast and stuff. I'm like, bro, you don't understand. Like, I get it. Like, I tell jokes. Like, I like to be a jokester when it's a group of people I know and stuff. But like, if it's down to it, man, like, dating apps really saved my me when I was like, I'm ready to start dating. It really, without them, I don't know if I would be on has gone on many dates or met as many girls at all. Like probably 95% of all the times I've gone on first dates and date and stuff is like women, girls, whatever that I met on dating apps. You know what I mean? Because I get very nervous. Huh?
You'd have figured it out. You know what I mean? We all would have, you know, if we had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at some point, you're going to get tired of this, and you're going to want a little bit of this. You know,
guys, y'all missed the. If only y'all could see that. The gyrations right there that were just made. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you would eventually figure it out. But it just. I have my moments where I'm like, I'm on and I'm just like, yeah, like I can talk to anybody. And then I have my moments I'm like, she looks really pretty. Like, she's probably not into me. Let me just creep on over here so she can't see me. You know what I mean?
Like, oh yeah, I think that I'm dating way high up. I need to come down a couple notches. I'm shooting too high.
I keep missing these 3-pointers, bro. But yeah,
ain't no Curry happening here.
But yeah, it'd be like that, Sean. And yeah, I was just curious if like that was the case for you, because you come across that way. But it's also like we are both in our realms right now. Like we both podcast hosts, and we both use the skill set when we have already met somebody, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's also too, I don't know if you've ever done this, and I'm not saying like, oh, everybody should, you know, if you have a podcast that is this type of does like dating and relationship podcast, but like it's always a great topic to bring up, especially if you're like you're on like a first date and like they know you're a podcast host, because it goes down and it breaks that fourth wall of like when you meet somebody. You can then get into kind of like, oh my God, tell me, what is your worst date? You know, worst date stories are always the fucking like the best to hear. Everybody's got a fucking worst date story, and they're so fun to tell. And like, and then it creates that sort of like, well, we got this inside joke about this worst date story. You know what I mean? Really cool. On that note, Sean, I'm gonna need from you a worst date story, bro. I know you got maybe one or two.
Woo! All right. No, I do, but I have a 7:00 that I gotta run to. I'm gonna try and see if I can push it push him off to like 7:30 so we can keep going through this, but I can't find his shit. So hold on, let me look over here. Yeah, I got some good dating stories. Some crazy ones. I'll tell you. I have a real good one. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let me just find this dude's
the
contact.
life of a podcast host in real time, folks. This is real.
Well, yeah, dude, you're my seventh today.
Oh shit, dude! You've been podcasting all day.
All day.
Fuck.
That's what I do.
What?
That's my jam. That's my jam, man. My only days to do it are Thursday and Friday, so I book them up. 16. Like I got 6 tomorrow. I had, so it's probably close to like 15 or 16 I've done in the last 2 days.
Bro, what the fuck do you do with all the podcasts? You just release, like you just have them and you just like release them like on like other, I don't know. You just keep them in
Whenever
the barrel?
I can. Yeah, they'll just sit there until I get to them, and I'll decide, which ones that pertain to whatever it is that I need.
Mm-hmm.
And like now, I'm going to start just releasing them without even really hardly editing. Just throw a little intro in, a little outro, and just put them out there because then it becomes time irrelevant. The longer, like everything that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
if you wait for 2 weeks, then everything you may be talking about is irrelevant by then.
Right. If
You know what I mean?
you time cap them, like if you put some shit on like, oh, what's going on, like, and you can release it fucking 2 weeks from now. You have a good enough intro, and it's like, hey, I'm not telling you how to run your shit. I'm just saying, like, sometimes fucking people just they don't give a fuck. They just want to listen to like good shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's interesting. That's fascinating. That you do so many and you have so many, like, you got like a little machine gun worth of podcasts right now, man. Like, you could just like, get them all out there. You know what I mean? How long have you been doing this for?
I did 10 this, about a year, a little over a year. Actually, no, just a year. Maybe a little over. Literally I put out 10 this month already.
Holy shit. I guess I have two, actually. Yeah. I guess I have two. Yeah, I know the life. Sometimes. I usually spread mine out amongst several days, but yeah, I know the life. It is a podcast. This is a podcast host life, folks. We're about to get a good story.
Yep. It's a Instagram. What is it? Podcasters of Instagram. That's my hashtag that I use in some of my stuff. All right, so here's a good story. All right, this was back when I was. It's an older story. It was back from my using days, but I mean, it was when I was single, and it's a situation that every dude could wish that they would find themselves in. And I had just been. So I had done I went out with my buddies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So back when I was selling drugs and doing all my stuff, I hung out with a lot of strippers, right? Because that's what I sold in strip clubs, and I had some twins that lived right in my complex, right around the corner from me, and so they worked at the club that I sold at, and so they would always come back and forth and hang out and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one night I was hanging out with my buddy, and we went and we dropped some ecstasy, or what we thought was ecstasy, but they ended up being like some bunktasy, and or mixtasy. It had some shit in it, but whatever it was, it made me feel sick, right?
Okay.
And so we were out and partying, and one of my homeboys was staying with me at the time. I get home. And I'm like, I went and laid down, and I'm like, dude, I don't feel good, man. I feel sick, and it's just, whatever. And all of a sudden, man, we hear girls, right, laughing like they're drunk, coming from the bar. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. And they're knocking on the door, right?
Okay.
Well, in comes Heather, this other chick, and this other girl that I'd never seen. I'd seen her at the strip club, but I'd never hung out with her before.
Why is there always a Heather at a strip club? I just want to say that. Why is there always a Heather at a strip club? Continue with the story.
That was. Anyways, so they come in. They're like, being loud, and you've never like done some drugs that make you feel not so good. You're just like, fuck, man. It's like. So last thing I need is for you guys to like be coming in here making hella noise and shit like that. I'd already fucked Heather and the other one, right, at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're roommates. And so I'd already hit it with them. And they brought their friend over because they're like, oh, you gotta fuck Sean. He's the best. And da-da-da-da-da-da. We both fucked him. And you're gonna... And so this is happening right around... This conversation's happening right around... And I'm going like, you gotta be fucking shitting me, man. Are you serious right now? Like, because, dude, 3 Barbie dolls want to get it on
right
me right now. They kicked my homeboy out, said, get out. And just shut the door. So one of them gets on my face, takes off their clothes, jumps on my face. The other one jumped, starts blowing me, right? And then the other one's getting ready to come in. And I was like, dude, my dick wouldn't get hard. I was like, felt like I was going to throw up.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm like, dude, I hate to do this to you guys, but I can't do this right now. And they were like, what? What? Are you serious? Do you know how many guys wish that they could be in this situation? Like, I literally never seen chicks get that pissed that they weren't going to get no dick.
Oh my God.
Like, literally, they got mad like a dude would get mad.
Right.
You know what? I'm like, so does this mean that we can't rain check it? I mean, because I really don't feel good. And I'm like, because you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't feel good, but this needs to happen again.
Sean, you can't rain check the pussy.
No, I didn't get a rain check, and I never got to fuck either. I don't think I fucked any of them ever again. Nope. Dude, you turned down 3 chicks at one time, that's it. You ain't getting no other shots with them at all, ever.
Bro, you lived a fucking life, my dude. That's fucking insane. That's insane. All right, have you
that's just
have you had any bad like date stories though from like dating apps?
You know, I mean, other than the person showing up not looking like that, they, you know what I mean, like
other than they getting catfished, which is still pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, not really, man. I've done all right. Oh, there was this one. All right, yeah, there was one.
Okay.
But it was more me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That fucked it up, and not. It was like my bad on a date. You know, bad. And so I ended up started drinking with this chick. You know, we go and have drinks. You know, 1 beer, 2 beer, 3 beer, 4 beers later, and it's like I'm not a drinker. Really,
okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
You know, I prefer 420. You know,
the devil's lettuce.
That's my jam.
Yeah, the devil's lettuce.
Yeah. So, and so I didn't eat. I didn't before that, so I just got really buzzed really fast. I was like off of my game. I was kind of combative, you know, argumentative about this and that, and then we ended up walking down the street to another bar, having some more drinks, and it's like, I'm like, so let's go. Are we gonna whatever? She's like, nope, I'm getting in an Uber and I'm going home, and I don't know what you're doing. And so that was probably the only time when I actually struck out because of my own lack of control and like I drank too much too fast.
Uh-huh.
Just out of nerves, being nervous, trying too hard.
And that's happened to me. In my story, we went to like 3 different places. I drank at one place. I was already drinking actually earlier in the day because I did a podcast with my buddy. And so I was already drinking whiskey at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And then I had a date at like 4:30, 5-ish in that neighborhood. And we had some margaritas. And then we went to go get, like, we walked down a couple streets and went to go get, like, some more drinks and a burger. And when I left, I remember falling and I scratched my glasses, which I still have. I could buy a new pair, but I keep them as a reminder, like, never to, get that silly. I remember falling on a step. My elbow hit that step. And it felt like, I don't know if I've ever, like, it wasn't like I imagine like breaking your elbow, like it hyperextends and it goes up. It didn't hyperextend, but I fell on it so hard that, like, there at the tip of it was everybody, like, if you're cringe, skip this part, but, like, I could feel the tip and it was, like, loose and I could, like, move it around. It felt, it was just, but anyways, I ended up, then we went to another place and I was still drinking, and then I think she switched to water and I was still drinking. And I completely, like, I made a fool of myself on that date, and we never went on another date again. So I've been there before, very early on in my dating career. But yeah, Sean, this has been fun, man. I really like this kind of conversing about dates and stuff like that, man. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you on again, like, just to, I think, explore a little bit more of your backstory. And it seemed like you got some wild stories from back in the day, if you know what I mean.
I do. I told somebody the other day, man, I've been talking to a lot of different authors and stuff, and I was like, dude, my story is some of the things that I've been through and done make Shameless look PG. You know what I mean? Just from some of the dirty, shit that I've been a part of, and just.
That laugh says it all.
I mean, dude, I've almost died like 4 times, man, 5 times from drug overdoses to you name it. It's yeah, I got a lot of stories, bro.
I want to have you back on because, again, I don't think this Corona season's going away like anytime soon. For some people, I guess they're getting back to, but I think we all know, like, we're going to be probably at home for a while doing it. So let's line up another time, man. I want to do a part 2 for this. I know you've got some stuff to get into. I've got another podcast here in the next 30 I need to still get ready for. I didn't know this was going to be this. I knew we were going to have a good time. You ever had those where you're like, I knew we were going to have a good time? But like, hey, man, we had a fucking blast, bro. But yeah, let's have you on again, Sean. For right now, man. Shout yourself out. Shout out the show. Shout out where people can find you. Take over my show for a bit. The time is yours.
All right. So my show is called Nowhere to Go But Up, and it's exactly what it says. I talk to people who are, have bottoms and life struggles and how they get through it. And, they share with my audience about, what struggles that they had in their lives. And, and in between that, it's stuff that interests me. I just pulled on a co-host, a female so we can talk about dating stuff, because she's kind of like polar opposite of me when it comes to, relationships and stuff like that. So maybe I'll learn a little bit of, from her. So that's what I'm hoping. And she can challenge me on some of my thoughts and my dating or non-dating ideas and tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and you can find that on almost all the major platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. I'm also on YouTube. I started doing a video portion of it, but I released one, and I haven't released any of the other ones that I can. So that'll be coming at some point. I have a huge catalog that's getting ready to come out. I've got about 34 right now episodes, and I've got at least 35 to 40 in my bank and vault, waiting to be released.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also too, if you think you have a story that you want to share that people may benefit from listening to a bottom or a struggle in your life, or just if you're an interesting person and you think that people would benefit from, hearing your story and knowing who you are, go ahead and head on over to my link tree, which I'll send you. And, that'll be in your show notes.
Yep.
And you can find me there. All my places, my Facebook group, I have a community in Facebook where I engage with everybody. I got merchandise. I got, just go to that link tree and anything that I have will be right in that space.
Van fucking tastic. Everybody go follow Sean and his podcast. I really enjoy it. If you want to follow this podcast, if you're not already, if you just stumbled upon this episode, follow Unfiltered Bachelor, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can follow the show on all podcast platforms, just like Sean's. It's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are. That's where the show is. You can follow me, Money Blakeweather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. And, I hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to a part 2 with Sean. I want to deep dive into some of these stories and maybe we make a little chapter book out of it or something. But Sean, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. I hope everybody checks out your show. And whatever time everybody out there is listening to this, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, not sure, but hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying in good. Until the next time, we will see you. Peace.
Bright city lights, they drew